Hey friends, it's Rachel
and Shira. Welcome to our Zoom Out podcast.
We're two close friends who love having honest, vulnerable conversations about life, healing, and all the messy, beautiful parts of being human.
We definitely don't have all the answers, but we have a deep desire to see life from a wider lens.
We're here to ask questions, share our stories along the way, be real with each other and with you.
So if you've ever felt like there's a bigger picture you're not always seeing, you're not alone.
Let's zoom out
together.
Hey everyone.
Welcome back.
I am very excited about today's topic. It is called the one where we understand men and women better. So
very controversial.
Very controversial. And we're excited to be a little controversial. I'm joking. But last episode, we were talking about dating intentionally. Obviously, we're two women, mid-20s, going through this process of life. And I think that it's just such a perfect topic to be next after the dating episode. Just because in life, there are men, there are women. 50-50, whatever population. And I think there's actually more women in the world, but whatever.
I think that's the dating problem.
I think that's the data. But that's the dating problem. I just got that.
They call it the shidduch crisis.
That's hilarious. But no, really, I mean, we're continuing to interact with men and women constantly, and it's only beneficial for us to understand each other better, and thrive together.
Yeah. I think it's important, especially these days when we talk a lot about equality, right, and feminism, that it's important to realize that there are differences in men and women, and that those differences are what actually make each on their own more powerful, and together even more powerful. I think a lot of the times we forget that these days, that if like a true feminist should embrace what makes a woman,
Yeah.
and find the beauty in that. Yeah, I don't know if I'm like, is that too?
Well, no, I also think that, what Shira was saying, like we're here to complement each other and not compete. I also think that as women in these days and in this day and age. Right?
Yes, day and age.
Thank you. I have a lot of girlfriends that unfortunately, talk a lot about how men suck and men are stupid and men are this and men are that.
I do sometimes say those things, but yeah.
And I'll tell you this. I actually used to be, I really used to have that attitude. So first of all, I grew up in a household where it was me, my mom, my dad, and 3 older brothers. So there was not many women in my household. I was the butt of a lot of jokes around, oh, it's your period, oh, this, oh, that. That made me, not love that
gender.
that gender, right? Like I'm judging my brother. I'm judging all of men just based on my brothers, and I'm joking. But I definitely grew up in that household. So I think that I really just kind of naturally had this attitude towards men, or like men are stupid and men suck. And it wasn't until I was in my early 20s, maybe around like 21, 22, that my mom noticed this bad attitude, or just not really going to get me anywhere, and actually recommended me this book called The Queen's Code. And I say this as a really deep recommendation for women. This is definitely the book is definitely recommended for women. And I also want to say, me and Shira, really quick before I continue, I think that equality is very important.
Yes,
Let us put it out there.
Too. Yes, women and men should get paid the same. We should be respected the same.
I was about to say, we should all love each other the same way. Everybody deserves human respect, human dignity, etc. We all are humans at the end of the day. But I think why this episode and just topic is so important is there are men, there are women, there are differences, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. We are here to complement each other. We're not here to be each other, right? So, okay, going back to my story. So my mom saw this really bad attitude I was cultivating or whatever, and she recommended me this book. I kid you not, I read this book, my whole life changed. I know that sounds dramatic, but my whole perspective on men and women and relationships completely changed. I'm not even talking about romantic. I have 3 older brothers. I have a dad. I have an uncle, you know, like there are men around me. I have male coworkers, male friends, all these things. And after reading this book, oh my gosh, everything, I felt like I had almost like laser vision. Like I just saw things so differently. I would be third wheeling couples, and I just like saw so many little things that she mentions in the book that I'm like, whoa, you almost feel like a secret agent, and you have this like secret map, you know? So to all my women out there, please go ahead and buy this book. It will 100% help you understand men better. And I think the whole reason of why we're here in this world is to love each other better, love ourselves better. But, you know, I'm not like, we should always, it's not about seeing the gender and making that the top thing, but like there's a gender for a reason, and there are differences, and they're helpful.
So you just like hyped up the book, okay, but like what did it say?
Okay, so a few like nuggets of wisdom, and I don't want to give all of it away, but something like just really spoke to me was a few things. Like biologically, men and women are different. We all know that. We have different body parts. But men naturally are providers. They are givers. They want to give. That doesn't mean that women aren't givers, that women don't want to share, blah, blah, blah. But talking about men for a second, men, and I think that all the men even listening to this would 100% agree with me. I've had many conversations with my brothers and guy friends all about this topic, and every single one is like, yeah, 100%. Like everything I mentioned about the book that talks about men, every single guy I've ever spoken to is like, that's 100% true. So I've actually done my research after reading the book. Okay, just putting that out there.
And scientifically and biologically, the way we are created reflects that.
Yes, like women are the receivers, we are the egg, right? Men have the sperm. Like biologically, it actually like is very cohesive with this idea. But what I love about the book is a few things. So one, it just talks about how like men naturally are providers and they are givers, and men need, like it says, but men play for points. Like men need to feel valued, and that their contributions are going somewhere, and that they almost see the results of their effort. So, for example, when a guy, and again, not even just romantic, when your brother, when your dad, when your whoever, when a man wants to carry your purse, or he wants to buy you dinner, or he wants to, you know, do anything for you. What?
I said let them.
Like let them, you know, truly, truly let them do that. And this is something I realized about myself. I had a hard time receiving love, and that goes into a whole other stuff. But when it came to men, like when I was dating this guy, he would always pay for things. Very nice of him. And sometimes like I would pay for it, so he would, you know, Venmo me or whatever, and like I would always Venmo him back. And it was this fight, like this constant fight with us. And if I really paused and looked at myself and asked like, why do I feel the need to Venmo him back? I had a hard time receiving love. And I think that there is a reason why as women, you know, we are raised to be independent and of service and whatever. Like we also, I think part of feminine energy is being able to receive.
Yes.
You know,
to
like
tap into that. Like I realized when I was dating, like so many times I would like open my own door and just like walk ahead, and like, cause I don't know, like we just learn to be independent in this world. You kind of have to be. But then I like was like, hey, let me like not hold myself back, but like step back a little bit and let him take the lead and take the way. And that's what I want for myself. I want a man who takes the lead. Obviously I want to still have my independence. I don't think that's what we're talking, like that's not what we're talking about. It's very different. When
you let men give to you, I feel like there is this synergy that comes out that is so clear, like you are working together. There is a way to work together. So in the book, something it says is like, you know, men don't want to feel emasculated, right? And I think one of the ways men can feel emasculated if they don't feel valued. So when you don't let them help, there is a reason why they almost kind of shut down. Right. So a great example of this, I was reading this book and I already broke up with someone, or like, you know, the relationship ended. And I almost had, like, for those people that have ever watched That's So Raven, shout out to that show. I literally had a That's So Raven moment where I'm reading this book and she's talking about how, you know, you want to like allow men to provide for you, because when you don't, it makes them feel like not valued. And the worst thing, by the way, do your own research, okay? Don't take my word for it. Go ask a man what's the worst feeling for them. The worst feeling, and again, I've done my own research from the book and also, talking to
TikTok can confirm after I broke up, all the TikTok said a man likes to be valued and appreciated.
The worst thing that a man ever can feel is not valued. Like he has nothing to do here. Like you are fully so independent that he has nothing to add here. That is like the number one thing of, they don't want to feel that. So anyways, I'm reading this book and I had this "that's a Raven" moment. I go, oh my gosh. So when I was dating this guy, he would always want to pay. And I personally really appreciate it, really respect it. I've always made it clear how much I appreciate that. It's not an expectation, but it's, it's a very appreciated, like I really appreciate.
I thought we said it is an expectation.
Well, no, I'm saying like, I think that it's important for me. I believe that like the man should pay and the man leads also because they feel like a king when they get to do that. And the idea of men and women is like, we want to treat each other like kings and queen. Nobody's a servant here. We are both kings and queen. We got to work together. So in my opinion, I do think men should pay for the first day. I think they should pay for a while. They're pursuing you. It's an energy exchange. That doesn't mean that the woman, but my point is this day and age, there's this like entitlement. So not expectation. There's this entitlement like, yeah, the man should pay and da-da-da. Nobody should come to dating entitled. That's what I mean. To me, I do expect a man to pay, but it's not coming from a place of like, I'm entitled and you have to pay. But when a man does pay, I'm so beyond appreciative and I make that very known that I appreciate them.
Right.
So to make that clear. So anyways, my "that's a Raven" moment, I'm reading this book and I literally think back a year prior to when I went with my ex. We were at brunch, okay? And it was one of those places, again, he would always pay and it was very nice. But before I had this knowledge, I always like felt uncomfortable receiving so much. So I would always like try to pay. And he always like fought me on it, which now I really like, anyway, so we're at brunch and it's one of those places where like you pay first and then you sit down.
Yeah.
So we stand up, we order our food and then he like takes out his wallet to pay. And I was like, no, I really want to pay. And he's like, no, I'm paying. But what do? Pre-knowledge Rachel, whatever you want to call it. I take out my Apple Pay and I quickly like beat him to it and I end up paying the bill. And I was like, oh my gosh, so happy. Like I finally got to pay for one meal. Like I never get to pay. And I kid you not, when I look back at that brunch, it was probably one of the worst brunches, like meals we had. Not because of anything, whatever. It was bad because all of a sudden I remember feeling like I didn't know why, but I literally remember his energy just shifted. Like he kind of shut down. Like we like barely talked that meal. Like I remember he was like so clearly in such a bad mood. And I remember literally thinking to myself, I'm judging him. I'm like, why is he in a bad mood? Like I paid this time. Like I did the nice thing, you know, like I wanted to do this. And when I read the book, I was like, oh my God, like I literally just stole his opportunity to provide. And I didn't realize at that time how important it is or was and is for men to like truly have that opportunity and like have that. They have such a big desire to provide. Like I think naturally, even, we was talking in the book, like even kids, like even your son, as a mom, let's say, like I'm not a mom currently, but like even mom with sons, when your son wants to help out and do the groceries and like allow them to continue, because even men, even boys at such a young age naturally have that drive.
Right. And also like women have a different way of providing. Like I saw this like Instagram reel with like the voiceover thing of like, the man provides the house, the woman makes it a home. The man provides, like, obviously it can be interchangeable, but like each gender has a different way of providing.
There's a reason why we're built the way we are.
Yeah.
I also think part of that is like what you're saying, like men, there's this like spiritual idea that men are the head and women are the neck. And wherever the neck goes, the head follows. And it's not to say that women are whatever. I think it's the idea of like men are the head and women are the heart.
Yes.
I think when you get to work with each other and you're both tapping into, first of all, in general, like every single person has both masculine and feminine energies. It just, you get to decide what you want to tap into. My whole life growing up with boys, I just so naturally tap into my masculine energy, especially at work. I'm always the person that's like, okay, I'm going to go fix it. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go solve this problem. And none of that is a bad thing. But when I bring that energy, when I notice this in my own life, when I bring that masculine energy into my romantic relationships with a man, it is like too much of one energy, you know? There's no synergy there.
Right. There's no balance.
There's no balance. Exactly.
Like I always looked up to my dad. I look up to my dad. And I always looked up to the fact that he's so like strong and able to control his emotions, and like I wanted to be like that too. Like not like wear my heart on my sleeve, which I naturally do. And I remember always like being frustrated with myself and like thinking that I had this like weakness of like I'm too sensitive and I just want to be strong and like be able to manage my emotions and just not like show my emotions so much. But then like later in life I realized that that's my feminine energy, whatever
Gift.
tapping into my feminine gift, exactly, and seeing it as a strength and not something that makes me weaker or less than. And it's something so beautiful to be able to be vulnerable and share your emotions and just be more sensitive. And that's not to say like my dad is awesome, you know, like he's strong and that's what gets him to where he is, but I think I'm also realizing that like it's pretty cool too to like just be me.
I love that. I think also like when I hear my girlfriends talk a lot about how men suck and men are the worst and whatever, and at the same time they're trying to date men, you know, and they're trying to like find a relationship with a man.
Right.
And not from a place of judgment at all, but I genuinely ask them like, well, if you think men are stupid and dumb and whatever, how do you think you're going to have a prosperous relationship, you know, that's going to blossom with a man when you're coming in already with that train of thought? So I think the purpose of this episode is really for both of us. Obviously, we're women, but for both of us to try to help kind of just bring up that conversation of like understanding what each gender's like gifts are and how we can work better as humans in this population, like how we can work better together.
All right.
You know, what men want, what men need, what women want, what women need. And I think as like for men too, you know, I'm curious from their ends, like the way that they feel in a relationship with women, you know, like what they feel that they need.
That I need
like,
a book on.
Yeah, like that I would love to know more of. But I think also as women, we talked a lot about men for a second. I just want to switch the conversation like to women specifically.
Because we're all about tapping into our feminine energy
lately.
Yeah,
that's definitely like a big priority for Shira and I. But even just to women is like, we have so many beautiful gifts. I mean, we give life. Like we give birth. We literally are the vehicle to create life. Obviously, it takes two to tango, and I think that's exactly like why this topic is so important, especially in 2026 when there's all these like arguments and fight about like who's better and equality. Yes, equality and love and unity and respect, sure. But there is nobody's better than the other. We just have different gifts, and like
that's the problem. Equality is becoming like who's bring better men to the floor and raise women. But the whole point is that
like let's raise together.
There's a balance, and let's lift each other up. Let's learn how we can interact in a way that like we're both, you know.
Yeah, and I felt like for me, in many ways, at one point, you know, I'm trying to tap into more of my feminine energy. It's very natural for me to be masculine, especially just the way I grew up. I'm very much the friend that like makes things happen, organizes the party, like, you know, deals with the money and you know, like very, which is again not a bad thing, but something that I realized I'm like really working on is like tapping into my feminine energy. And like a friend asked me like, what does that mean? And for me, that just means like being able to receive more, tapping into more of my intuition, kind of just like feeling more than thinking. I think all of us in general as humans can do that better, like feel through life more than necessarily like be so in our heads and logical. But I think for women, you know, part of it is also asking like, where did that belief system come from? You know, like I think something interesting she says in the book is like women, we compare men to women, so we almost expect them to like be the way that we are, operate the way that we are. And there's this like very interesting I don't know if it was like a quote or something where it says like women bond face to face and men bond shoulder to shoulder. So and true. It's so true. Like when I'm with my girlfriends, I'm not saying, by the way, I have a very like close guy friend that we talk and we're whatever, but like that's men and women interacting. When women and women are interacting, like we're face to face, we're talking. Men, I notice like naturally bond like shoulder to shoulder. They're like doing something together and they bond, but like through that. And it's just like, it's really interesting when you see like a group of women come together, a group of men come together. Like you do feel there are differences in energy. And again, just to reiterate, like one is not better than the other. I think it's just like I think when you're open to seeing how the differences can actually bring us closer together, it's like a whole change of scenery. So after reading this book, like I genuinely feel that my relationships with my brothers and with my dad and with all the men in my life are so different. I feel like I really view them as kings and I view myself as queen. You know, like there's a reason why I call all my girlfriends like, hey queen, how you doing? Like, there is such a power in queen energy and king energy. And there is a reason why we are like, you know, meant to be together and like meant to work together and have babies together, reproduce, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the key, just to learn the differences, be curious about it and not like reject it as something bad and be like, oh, I get it. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to understand how men think, how they work. But I think if we each make the effort to like try to understand, that's where we can find that balance and like see how it's actually a compliment to you and you're a compliment to him. But one thing that I just came to mind, I remember when my relationship ended, I remember like after the phone call, like wanting to like show more emotion. I took it so well and I like took it with stride and I almost like wanted to like cry. I'm like, I want him to see that I'm like a woman that has feelings and I'm not just like this strong like persona that I put on. I don't know how that fits into what we're saying.
No, but I love that.
Just like the whole thing with like feminine energy. Not being scared to like show that. And also like whatever, not being scared to be strong either. Anyways, continue talking. I don't know.
No, so I'm just saying like definitely recommend that book. It doesn't have to be that book specifically, Queen's Code by Alison Armstrong. You know, but I think
I think it's in my Amazon cart.
Oh my God, it's so Shira, you have to buy it. All I'll say is this, the more effort we can put into understanding each other, the only thing that's going to come out of that is just like a more harmonious relationship together.
Right.
So, thank you for listening. But before we go, we're going to say the quote in question. The quote of the day is by Dr. John Gray. We're actually looking at this quote, and I genuinely want to go buy this book right now. But he is the author of Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. The quote he says is, when men and women are able to respect and accept their differences, then love has a chance to blossom. So I'm going to read that one more time. When men and women are able to respect and accept their differences, then love has a chance to blossom.
Okay, perfect. And then the question for reflection, what limiting beliefs do you hold about the opposite gender? And in what ways might those beliefs be influencing your current relationships or interactions with them?
I love it. So let us know. We'll see you next week. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
We hope this conversation helped you feel a little bit more seen, a little less alone, and reminded you to take a step back and zoom out.
We're grateful to have you all along with us on this journey together.
Stay tuned for our next episode.
Bye, friends.